On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, we are back from a break, and not a moment too soon. The haters, TJ, are oh my god, they're loud. They're relentless. I am the hardest working man in show business, but every so often, I want to give the rest of the guys, TJ and Cody and the rest of the people at Barstool. There's a holiday, July 4th. I thought, you know what? I certainly would work through it. I don't do anything on holidays. I don't celebrate holidays. I want to work. I thought maybe the rest of the people would enjoy some time off, so we take the week off. I am currently moving across the country. I'm recording this from an undisclosed location in Colorado, driving this big ass U-Haul, which I will talk about at the end of the show. Like the move from hell so far. We're not even done yet. We're in Colorado right now. We have to get to Chicago. It is an absolute disaster. But I was hoping to do a full week of shows this week. This move from hell got in the way. The haters started chirping, TJ. I saw that. We put out like a thing that was like, hey, no show on Tuesday. We're obviously recording this a little later. I like to put out the show first thing Thursday morning. We were recording this Thursday morning, so obviously it didn't come out on time. And everyone's chirping at us, and that's the corner I painted myself into, TJ. The other thing, a little tip for all you youngsters out there: do not name the show after yourself because you can't get anyone to fill in for you. When you name it the Mark Titus Show, it's a little harder to get a guest host. So maybe don't do that. But anyway, we're back. I'm excited. There's so much to talk about because we haven't been going for so long. I can't believe this, but before we did a show, the last time we did a show, Damian Lillard had not officially submitted a trade request, which seems insane because at this point, the Damian Lillard discourse is kind of burnt. Everyone's just kind of waiting for Portland to figure out if they're going to trade this guy. It seems like they're going to, but also the Heat package. How many times are we going to hear about the Miami package? Let me see that Miami package. Miami, let me see your package. Can I see that package again? Let me see that package, Pat Riley. I don't know. It feels like it's inevitable. I'm a cynic with NBA stuff because I just think that like anytime a star wants something, they just like bend over backwards to give it to him. So it feels like we're eventually going to see Damian Lillard in Miami. But I don't know. We'll see. In the meantime, I'm heartbroken over it because Damian Lillard I've been very vocal about him being my favorite American basketball player for years and years. He is no longer my favorite American basketball player, but there's still one way for this to be salvaged. And I don't know, I'll talk through all my emotions, but it's crazy to think that's how long it's been since we did a show. Also, Summer League is still technically going on, but Victor Wenbanyama has been shut down. Spoiler alert for those who did not see this coming a mile away. Perfect Summer League performance from Victor Wenbanyama in terms of content. Absolutely perfect. He gave us one stinker of a game. He gave us one really good game, and then he shut it down. And now we just get to talk about whether this man is good or whether he sucks. Really forever. This is what we're going to do for the rest of his career. It's a perfect start. I was very excited about that. Also on the program, we have Bob Huggins joining us for a great interview. He came on to clear the air about the situation at West Virginia. He invented, I think, like 2 or 3 new slurs, which I found, kind of charming. I thought that was cute, how Huggins was like, no, I'm kidding. None of this is real. I do want to talk about Huggins, though, because this is like, he's Costanzing, that's the observation everyone made initially was, this is George Costanza saying, I did not resign and just pretending like nothing happened. But just an absolute like it's a story that's so insane that I was scared when the Huggins story first broke of the DUI I'm talking about. You have to clarify which Huggins scandal you're talking about. That's where we're at with Bob Huggins. When the DUI situation happens and he resigns, I love doing this show because I love making jokes about basketball. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason the show exists. But sometimes there's like some serious shit like that where you're like, I don't know, man, this isn't really that funny. Bob Huggins gracefully steps up and says, you know what I'm going to do for you, Mark? I am going to make this story funny. I am going to do all I can to take a situation of an old man on the tail end of his career who is supposed to go out a legend, and then blows a .21 and resigns in disgrace. There's nothing funny about that. It's just a sad story. But I'm gonna do a favor for you, and I'm gonna make this hilarious. I'm going to say I didn't resign, and I'm going to say that was not me. And now we're going to fight over this in court. Just a preposterous story. So let's talk about that a little bit. Also, maybe a little Cooper Flagg, dude. I don't know, TJ. Are you aware of Cooper Flagg?
Yeah, through part of my take, but yes.
Oh my God, the Cooper Flagg mania is. I've caught it. I don't know. I can't deny. I'm all in on Cooper Flagg, so I might talk about him a little bit. But yeah, that's what we got lined up today. It's exciting to be back. But I am ready to get to Chicago. I'm going to tell my story. It was the move from hell. I will tell the story at the end of the show. We're going to talk a little basketball before that. Let's get to it. All right, I think I want to start with Huggins. I was debating. I don't know what people care most about. Like all the three things I wanted to talk about were Huggins, Wenbanyama, and Damian Lillard. It feels like all of them are like 8 days old at this point, but also it's the middle of July. Like what else is going on? Bob Huggins. I want to start with Huggins because it's preposterous that this man says he didn't resign. The story he's putting forth is like his wife resigned for him. I'm confused in this. So like I understand. I guess, like, why he thinks, why he's doing this-ish. Like, I guess, like, the story that people are trying to say that... Because, I mean, when I saw the news, I was like, how drunk is this guy? Like, how... We know it was a .21 that he blew, but, like, oh, my God. Like, what reality are you living in that you think that you can just do this and then just show up and coach the first game? But then the legal experts of the internet step up and they're like, well, I think what's going on here is that if he resigns, he gets none of his money, and if he gets fired, I guess you can go argue with whatever court that I deserve some. You just get some sort of settlement from West Virginia. All of this would make a lot more sense to me if this was like a Kevin Ollie situation at UConn where he was like fired for cause. But then like he was like, nah, I was fired because I kind of sucked at coaching. But then and then like he sues you, like that was like that feels a little more applicable in this situation. Bob Huggins, you blew a .21. You had like what world that you're going to be fired for cause? They're not going to owe you a dime. I'm so confused by like how you thought this was going to shape. Like there was maybe a path like initially where if he doesn't resign. And he works out some sort of settlement with West Virginia. I'm just like hypothetically speaking. I don't even think this should have been the case. If I was West Virginia, I would have told this man, we gave you a lifeline when you go on the radio show and you're throwing out slurs and acting a fool. And then you follow it up with this. Like we're not here to help you out at this point. You're embarrassing the university. Just be gone, Bob, please. Just let's just get this over with, which is what I think happened. I think that this is what happened. He was like, fine, I'll resign. Then he wants his money back, but I don't. In what world would West Virginia give him anything at this point? I don't think they were going to. There might have been a sliver of hope at the start, but like now, you're just dragging the university's name through the mud. It's a total embarrassment. Like if I'm a West Virginia fan, I'm just like humiliated by what's going on with like the guy who was. Bob Huggins was one of those guys that was bigger than just the head coach. Like head coaches of basketball and football teams are already like the biggest guys on their campus. They are already the face of the university. Whether you like it or not, that's the world we live in. Sports matter more to people than the chemistry professor at these schools. I'm an intellectual, so to me, I would love to live in a world where the biology professors are exalted a little bit more. But that's just me. I'm a little bit different than everyone else. The rest of the world, they want the football coach and the basketball coach to be the face of the university. Bob Huggins was that. Then it's elevated a little bit more because he's Bob fucking Huggins and he's a Hall of Fame coach and like one of the titans of college basketball. Then it's elevated a little bit more because he's a hometown guy and this is his alma mater and like this, and he's just got this larger than life persona. And what comes with that is that when you act a fool like this, when you are so just so embarrassing with your behavior, not just in what like gets you to this point, not just the DUI part, but then how you take zero accountability now and you're saying like I didn't resign, which is the whole like this is so stupid. It just becomes completely embarrassing for the university. So like I don't see what world. I guess I should say like Gordon Gee. We talked about it initially when he had the when Huggins had the anti-Catholic, I guess you would call it, and homophobic also. And then, how many things did he check on the bingo card? When that initially happened, I mentioned that Gordon Gee at Ohio State. My experience with Gordon Gee was that my memory of him was when Tressel had his little controversy going on, and Gordon Gee was like, "I hope he doesn't fire me," and that just kind of speaks to like, I don't know, Gordon Gee's like trying to be the fun uncle of being university president. But yeah, I have no idea what he thinks is going to happen here. I don't, because this is not a situation where like there was ever a world where they weren't going to obviously fire him for cause, and every court in the world will defend West Virginia's decision to do so, and they're not going to pay him a dime. I mean, I don't get, like, in what world would Bob Huggins think that he could go back to coaching after getting a DUI? This is West Virginia. This is not Gonzaga, TJ. This is not, you can't just you can't just have a high profile DUI situation and then go back to coaching as though nothing ever happened. This is not. But
you can. You just can't also have a live radio incident 2 weeks before that.
I know.
It sucks too because one of the points he made was like that the team needs him or something to that extent. I'm like, at this point, you're doing way worse for the program than.
Oh yeah, you're so. Yeah, are you kidding me?
You're moving the ball in the opposite direction.
It is. I mean, I don't want to. It is an interesting thing because, like I said, when the original DUI story happened, like Huggins is such a weird case because this behavior was. He's exactly who we thought he was. This is the same. This is Bob Huggins' behavior. It's just that, like, I don't know how to describe. Like up until this point, it was like charming or something. Like the way he would, the way he moved to he moved to the beat of his own drum, and and even I talked about the show with when we're talking about his DUI, like his drinking was always like charming to people and funny and fun and all this, and now it's like the monster has just like gotten so big that it's like, damn, did we do this? Did we have a so it is hilarious. I mean, like everyone else, I saw the headline. I literally laughed out loud in an empty room. I was just like, what is this guy doing? I don't know what he thinks the end game is. It is sad though, in the sense that like this is what he'll be remembered for. Honestly, I mean, like this is going to be your legacy. Is like how you go down, and this is unfortunate. This is the unfortunate reality of college sports in general. Is like these coaches get so big and get so larger than life on these campuses that far more often than not, if you're a true legend, you don't get to pick the terms on which you go out. And that's why I think like Roy Williams and Coach K and as annoying as K's farewell tour was, guys like that, like actually getting to call their shit. And Jay Wright, who's like much younger than those guys, but still I would classify as a college basketball legend. Just getting to call their own shots and like how they're going to leave the game. Boeheim even, but like Boeheim's a little, like, Boeheim's not even close to as bad as Huggins. But like Boeheim even got into like that little weird territory where like the fans were calling for him to retire, and it's like, Jim, what are we doing? Like, get out of here. But this happens far more often than not, that like you don't get to call your own shots when you leave, but like I said on the last show we did about Huggins, like he kind of did. Like this is, he is going out on his own terms. This is the terms that he decided for himself. He decided to get shit-faced drunk and drive a car. Then he decided to resign. Then he decided to not resign. Like this is all his terms. This is the path that he laid out for him. It's not what I would have done, TJ. If I was Bob Huggins, I would have simply not done it this way. I would have retired with class and humility. I would have. I just can't believe, like, I'm fascinated. I really am, like, in 5-10 years, like, how we'll look back on Bob Huggins, because I think, like, he built up enough, just, I don't know if trust is the right word, but, like, he's so gregarious and so much charisma through the years that I am curious to, like, as the dust settles on all of this and time passes and all that, and we look back on Bob Huggins, how much will people be like, Yeah, this man got 2 DUIs. Who knows how many other times he was driving drunk. Like, the way his West Virginia tenure ended was just an absolute disgrace and embarrassing for a guy who's supposed to be like a quote-unquote leader of men and like a representative of a public university and all this sort of thing. Or if you're just like, I don't know, man. I know he went down in an ugly fashion, but like, I'll never forget. And 2012, that one time I was at that bar and Huggy Bear came in and bought a round of drinks for everybody. And I imagine that's what's going to be. I imagine that sort of thing is going to win out. I imagine, like, honestly, what's going to happen is Huggins is going to like get into media and then just like butter up everybody again. And I don't know what he's going to do though. Cause like, why, maybe he does want to keep coaching. Cause like he is like a stubborn son of a bitch. So like maybe, does he have part of it? Like, does he have the Bob Knight gene in him where Bob Knight like gets fired from IU? And like, in what world would Bob Knight want to go coach at Texas Tech? Like, no disrespect to Texas Tech. I have we have a lot of people listen to the show that are Texas Tech fans. I have nothing against Lubbock. This is not shitting on Lubbock. It's shitting on the idea of like a guy like Bob Knight who's from Ohio and was coaching at Indiana. He's like a Midwest guy through and through and spent his entire life like at coaching at Indiana. He gets fired, and then he's like, where I would like to go is Texas Tech. I don't think he actually wanted. I don't think he was, when he was a boy, he was like, my dream is to coach Texas Tech basketball. I think his attitude was like, fuck everyone. You're not telling me I'm done. I'm not. He's Leo, Wolf of Wall Street. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And the whole reason he goes to coach at Texas Tech was just to send a big fuck you to Miles Brand in Indiana. So, I mean, like, if you're telling me Huggins is cut from that same cloth, I'm nodding along saying, yeah, he probably is. But at the same time, like, when the DUI initially happened, and I thought he had resigned, but apparently that was his wife, who is not him, I guess. I thought he was just going to, ride off into the sunset and gracefully step away from the game. But I don't know. Maybe there is a world now where he's like coaching some Mac school in 2 years.
Either that or he should start a podcast or start a live radio show.
Start a live radio show.
The Bob Huggins Hour on
Slinging Slurs with Huggy Bear.
Yeah, internet radio. It is so interesting to me that right now there's 2 coaching situations in Bob Huggins and Pat Fitzgerald where a month ago or 2 months ago, whenever before the Cincinnati thing happened with Huggins, you would have been shocked to hear that either of those coaches was not going to be at that school to start the season.
Oh, yeah.
Nonetheless, after the season, even though Northwestern has not been a great football program, like those are 2 guys that their names are synonymous with their universities. And for them, it's 2 completely different reasons to go down like this in like blazes of whatever the opposite of glory is, where they're like their names are now like disgraced from the university. It's crazy, but that's like kind of the college sports atmosphere right now. That shit happens in 1 second instead of weeks and weeks deliberation.
It's I just hug you. I hope this like plays out somehow publicly, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to. I think they're going to go to court, and the courts are just going to laugh Huggins out of the room, and be like, "What are we doing here?" And he'll get nothing. And then, but I would love to hear his arguments. I would love to hear like Huggins' lawyer. I would love to hear. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those meetings of Huggins trying to like get $24 out of West Virginia, a $24 salary.
Just like his parking validated.
It's like all I wanted this whole time wasn't my parking validated. That's it. Oh man. We'll see. I don't know. We'll monitor the situation, as I like to say on the show, as it's a developing story. Bob Huggins did not resign. Is he having a talk with his wife? Like, I mean, we all know what happened. Like, the real story is like Huggins did resign, and then he's like trying to walk it back. But if I'm taking the story at face value, then I gotta imagine there's some uncomfortable conversations between husband and wife. TJ, it's like, why the fuck did you resign for me? What were you thinking? I never said I was going to resign. I thought his argument was going to be like, I honestly think if Huggins came out and it said I was drunk when I resigned, like there might be some legal ground on that one.
And also it's very believable too at this point.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't actually, I wasn't in a sound state of mind when I sent in my resignation. It's like a Nathan for you plan. It's like the plan, always be drunk. That way, no contract, you ever sign is ever binding, and no legal document you ever sign is binding. You can get out of anything. You can always get out of anything because you can just be like, "Sir, I was not in sound mind when I made that decision." So, anyway, I hope my hope moving forward is that Bob Huggins. I want him to go away for a couple years. I do think like I do root for the best in people. Like I do root for rehabilitation, and I root for redemption, and I root for all that sort of thing. Bob Huggins has a lot of work to do. I don't think he's I'm not going to say the man's like a total fucking scumbag and irredeemable and all that. He's not. But he's got some work to do, TJ. We'll put it that way. So my hope is that he goes away for a year or two, really actually addresses his issues, fixes some shit that he's got going on, and I would like, he's a legend of the game, and I do think he is when all the shit initially went down, we talked about it. It's like it's a complicated thing because the man, so many players that play for him love him, so many people that know him personally love him, and I do think those viewpoints do matter. So I do think that like ultimately it'd be a cool story if he can get back into the world of college basketball somehow. But he's got to earn it. He's got to earn it. You can't just snap your fingers after like 24 hours and be like, all right, I said I was sorry. What else do you want from me? And that seems to be where we're at with Huggy Bear. So hopefully he goes and earns it. Quick break to talk about our friends at HelloFresh. Take a bite out of the summer with HelloFresh. From chef-crafted seasonal recipes to their new fresh and fit summer menu, HelloFresh brings flavor right to your door. Pre-portioned ingredients help cut down on food waste, while step-by-step instructions make cooking a breeze, not a chore. Make your home the hangout place this summer with crowd-pleasing eats, from a backyard bratwurst bar to tangy key lime pie. HelloFresh Market makes summer entertaining a cinch. It's peak time for summer produce, and HelloFresh make sure you get all the best picks all season long. Their ingredients travel from the farm to your door in less than 7 days for quality you can taste. When you need dinner fast, don't call for delivery. Think HelloFresh. Think their fast and fresh recipes are ready in just 15 minutes or less. Plus, HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than takeout. Have you been out to eat recently? The cost of it is absurd. It's absurd. And that's not even to get in on the tipping culture that's going on out there, where you just you're trying to get some fast food and they whip the register around and ask for a 30% tip. That stuff adds up. Use HelloFresh. Cook at home. Learn how to make be self-sufficient. Go to HelloFresh.com/MarkTitus50. Use code MarkTitus50 for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh.com/MarkTitus50 is the code. Use code MarkTitus50, 50% off, free shipping. All of this is what you need to do, because you need to take your life into your own hands, make your own food, use HelloFresh, and do that this summer. Go do it, HelloFresh. Speaking of contracts not being legally binding and all that shit, Damian Lillard, I'll save the win. I'll talk about Lillard real quick because this will be quick and no one really cares because this Lillard shit has been beaten to death by every other talking basketball head at this point. Damian Lillard was my favorite. As I said at the top, he's been my favorite American basketball player for a very long time, and the reason why is because anybody who listens to this show knows how I feel about modern NBA. The misconception about me is that I hate the NBA. I do not hate the NBA. I grew up loving the NBA. I watched as much NBA basketball as I watched college basketball. I obsessed. I didn't really have like the only difference I would say is I didn't really love the Indiana Pacers so much because I had have I done Reggie Miller hate rants on this show before?
I don't think so.
TJ, are you aware of? I do them from time to time, so I can't remember if I wasn't the biggest Reggie Miller guy. So like growing up in Indiana in the '90s made me an outcast. I was a huge basketball fan in Central Indiana during the 1990s, and I was the one kid in class. I was like, I don't really care for Reggie, man. And every other kid was like, are you fucking nuts? And I was like, I might be, but like Reggie, I can't get there with Reggie. But anyway, I love the NBA, and I do freaking love the NBA. But then somewhere along the line, like a lot of people, I don't know. It's hard to talk about like falling out of love with the NBA because everyone thinks you're just like talking about politics and shit like that. And it was never about that with me. It was just like, I don't know, maybe I'm just nostalgic or something, but like I just, the current iteration of the NBA and the guys switching teams and all that kind of stuff, it just like makes it hard to follow. And it like makes it just like, I don't know, we talked to Roan about it a little bit when he was on the show. I want to love the NBA. But this is why I gravitated towards guys like Jokic and Giannis. Those are probably my two favorite players in the league. They're in Denver and Milwaukee, and two markets that, like, frankly, a lot of stars through the years aren't dying to go play in. And both of those dudes are happy as can be, and they've won titles and they've won MVPs, and they're just like, this is all I need. And that, to me, is what the NBA should be. Once upon a time, the NBA was just college basketball, but at a higher level. Somewhere along the line, it got, like, turned into some lifestyle brand and reality show and all this other bullshit. And anyway, all that is the precursor to say, TJ, that Damian Lillard was the one guy. It was Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler, really, but which is funny because they're about to be teammates. But Damian Lillard was the guy that cut through all that for me. Damian Lillard is from Oakland. He goes to Weber State. He gets drafted by Portland, obviously, and like, his background at a time when it feels like a lot of the American dudes in the NBA are too buddy, and that turns a lot of people off. And they're too these are guys that, you know, when they're 11 years old, they get identified as top basketball prospects. They all get, like, thrown into these same camps and same, you know, they all get put on, like, the same tracks to go to NBA stardom. And through that, they become, like, friends. They're all, like, really friendly with each other, where, like, you know, in the 80s and 90s, like, those kinds of dudes that were coming up, the NBA players of the 80s and 90s, their backgrounds were not that. They were dudes that just, like, played in parks, and, you know, they didn't know each other growing up. Anyway, so Damian Lillard was, like, the one guy that kind of, like, bucked that trend, because he wasn't a 5-star recruit. He wasn't a guy that was, like, told from a young age, you're going to be great, so let's put you in this camp with all these other great guys and go become friends with them. And then that way, when you get to the NBA, you guys can all conspire to be on the same team and go live in LA or Miami and just be rich and laugh at everybody for you know, you pull the wool over middle America's eyes for pretending to care about all this shit, and just say, like, we're all going to make $50 million a year, and we're going to try and 1/4 of the games, and that's going to be it. And, like, that was Damian Lillard was supposed to be the chosen one, basically, is what I'm saying, TJ. He was supposed to be the chosen one. He represented everything I loved about old school NBA. And whether he was one of the best players in the league or not, like, I know he wasn't everybody's, like, favorite. He wasn't my favorite player necessarily, like, given his talent. He's so fucking talented. He's an incredible scorer. I'm not gonna, like, defend that, like, he's one of the 5 best talents in the league or anything like that. He was just a guy that was very easy to root for. I believed all the propaganda that he's putting out about wanting to not run from the grind and stay in Portland and all that sort of thing. And all that's just to say, like, I'm really freaking bummed about how, and he doesn't owe me anything, and I guess I should say that. Damian Lillard can do whatever the hell he wants. That's the other part of these conversations, is that sometimes when you criticize the player empowerment stuff, then there's, like, some moron on the internet pops up and is like, he doesn't owe you anything. And it's like, okay, thank you for that. He does not owe me anything. Okay, my turn for the rebuttal? I don't owe him anything. Now where are we? He's allowed to do whatever he wants is best for his family. I'm also allowed to think that this is fucking stupid, and the league would be a lot cooler if guys, you know, just, like, didn't want to always go to Miami and Los Angeles. That would be it would be a more fun league. If the NFL worked that way, you know, like, the imagine Joe Burrow is, like, the second he wants to get out of Cincinnati, and he's not going to do that, you know? Like, that's what's frustrating, is, like, the NFL doesn't have this problem, and someone might point to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and I guess that might be a fair comparison. I don't know. I'm rambling a little bit,
he spent 15 years in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah, and, like, and he won a Super Bowl, and that's the thing, is, like, that's what's just frustrating about the NBA. And Damian Lillard doing this it's not necessarily. I guess I'll put it this way. To me, it's not I could sort of be okay with Lillard putting in a trade request with the Blazers. I think at a certain point, I understand it. Like, I don't think that necessarily makes him a hypocrite if he's like, I've given this franchise all I can. I've given the city all I can. I know I'm under contract, but I don't know, man. Like, I would love to just end my career, like, getting, like, legitimate shots at winning a ring. I think, like, that would be really, really awesome. But I'm also under contract, and that, you know, if it was, like, somehow handled that way. But for him to just basically be like, I'm only playing in Miami, and if you don't trade me to Miami, I'm not playing, and just become Ben Simmons overnight. It's insane, TJ. It's just like it spits in the face of everything this man has stood for so long, and it bums me out because it's. I mean, I shouldn't have been so naive, but also I felt like he was pretty consistent through the years. And he had so many opportunities to jump, and he didn't. But yeah, when I bitch about the modern NBA, this is exactly what I bitch about. Is like dudes sign these massive fucking contracts for multiple years, which they should, and yes, this is exciting. We're now going to make an insane amount of money, life-changing money. Your grandkids won't have to work if they don't want to, or if no one along the line is a moron with how the money is managed. But then when you sign the contract, you sign that you can't have both ways. I don't understand this, and like somehow that's controversial, and somehow like making this point, like me talking about this shit, like people think I want to work for Outkick or something. And it's like somehow I don't know. This drives me crazy too, TJ. It's like anytime you're just like, I don't know. I think like the league would be a lot cooler if dudes couldn't sign massive fucking contracts and then decide on a whim I want to go play with my buddy in Miami. Like, I think like that would make more sense as a fan. It would be easier and more fun to consume the product as a fan if that was not the case. Saying that has somehow become controversial, but I don't know. I stand by it. So
I don't think it's a crazy thing to say. I think like everybody wishes that the league, all leagues and all sports were more entertaining and more passion based. But that's like when there's $50 million contracts at stake now. That's just how it is.
I hope. I mean, I really. I don't want that somehow too, like the money's not everything. All right. So like, I get that. Like, I get that. Like you can't just say that like I'll use Karl Towns as an example. He had however many family members pass away from COVID, and like he had a really rough stretch there of his life. You can't just be like, yeah, but the guy made how many millions of dollars. So like, there is real life shit that happens, and people get unhappy at places, and no matter how much money you're making, if you are in a situation at work or elsewhere where you're not happy, money's not going to solve all the problems. But also at the same time, money does factor into the equation, where it's like, if you're talking about Damian Lillard being unhappy in Portland, and Portland owes it to Damian Lillard to trade him to somewhere where he wants to go after he's given them all these years. They're paying him much fucking money. That's what they owe Damian Lillard the money. That's what they owe him. They owe him $40-50 million. That's what they're paying him for. That's what they you know what I mean? Like that's why they signed the contract. Like this, like I don't want to hear that Damian Lillard gave Portland, gave this franchise, gave this city X number of years, and gave his heart, and gave like all. That's great. And then you know what Portland gave back to him? A fuck ton of money. That's what the arrangement was. So now, as we stand here today, as he's under contract and he says, I want to go to Miami. Yeah, there is a world where like I don't think that like Portland is stupid. Like Miami doesn't, for what it's worth, and everyone keeps pointing out the Miami package. Like Miami does not have a great trade for Portland. So like I think if they do, unless something drastic changes, like if they do go through with like the trades that are being talked about, Portland would kind of be fucking themselves in my estimation, and would be doing Dame a favor. But if they want to do that, they can do that, I guess. But like, I don't think they owe them. I don't think it makes them evil if they're like, no, we're not doing that. Like you're a great basketball player. We have you under contract. We just drafted Scoot Henderson. No, let's play basketball. Like, what are we doing?
Is there a world where they do that?
I'd like to believe there is. That's what that's the NBA that I want to believe in, is that, and that's not like, again, I'm not coming from a standpoint of like, I want them to, I want Damian Lillard to be held against his will in Portland. That's what, like, these conversations, like seeing people talk about this shit just like makes my head spin, because it's like, somehow along the way, like if you're defending the player empowerment shit, you just like completely remove the contract part of it, which is like, you can get out of contracts, but like you have to pay. I just don't get like, I don't get a league where Damian Lillard can decide he wants to go play in Miami, and then Portland is just supposed to take like a shitty trade get not as much back as they want, and just like take it and just be like, all right, so that's it, and then just like hope that, I mean, if I'm Portland, like there's part of me that's like, listen, Scoot's our future, we're excited about Scoot. Scoot's fucking awesome, by the way. Like Scoot is, I'm very, me personally, I'm not even a Portland fan and I'm excited about Scoot, but it's infuriating as just like a guy who's as a neutral observer in the NBA, and as a man, Damian Lillard just really disappointed me. That's all I'll say, TJ, because he was supposed to be, him and Jimmy Butler were like two guys that like I said earlier, like Jimmy Butler was the same way. Like he goes to JUCO and he's like not a highly sought after recruit, and like Jimmy Butler is also a dude that like people don't people don't necessarily all love him in the NBA, and he's got like a weird reputation with some people, but other people do. I don't know. It gets a little complicated, but like as a neutral observer fan, I'm like, that's fine by me. I don't want my NBA superstars to all be like these like perfectly curated fucking like in a lab, like, you know, lifestyle brand ambassadors. That's not what I want. I want dudes that I want fucking dogs that want to play basketball, and that's what Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler are. Now they're going to be on the same team, and I'm put in a terrible position, TJ, where like the two American dudes that I want to root for the most are now like pissing me off, and now I'm like, I don't know if I can root for these dudes, and I just got to get over it. I guess that's it. I guess that's.
I think we're just past the point in like the evolution of how sports work, where anybody for any reason stays on the same team for their whole career now. Like in baseball, like Derek Jeter was one of the last guys ever that, you know, won a bunch of championships, made a bunch of money, was a huge star, and never intended to play for another team other than the Yankees his entire career. He played there for 20 years. Trout's kind of doing it now, but, you know, the Angels suck, so it's a little bit different, and they paid him infinity dollars. But even like in the NFL, name a star recently that played 20 years for one team. Peyton Manning didn't do it. Like Eli, I guess, is a little bit comparable, but he was 500 his whole career. Like a true superstar that didn't go elsewhere at the end or towards the end to try and win.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that's how sports works.
So who's the guy? Is Steph then? All eyes on Steph Curry.
I guess, yeah. But I could totally see him
going to Charlotte.
That's always
been the thing, is Steph going to Charlotte, but Charlotte's doing like literally nothing to make that an attractive option for Steph. At every turn, Charlotte's like, Charlotte says they want Steph, and then every single opportunity they get to prove it, they're just like, no, we're not going to make a good decision in this. Also,
saying you want Steph Curry on your team isn't a huge stretch.
Yeah, I think
every team probably wants Steph.
The Charlotte angle though is like his dad, played for. Yeah. I think they're already the Curry 30 jerseys were already literally a thing in Charlotte. So I think the visualization's already there. The hometown, I love that though. I love guys going back to the hometown.
Oh yeah.
But Dame, like it's not even about like playing with one team for me. Like I don't. There's a world where, like I said, like Dame could have requested a trade. Dame could have said, "I want it out of Portland," like whatever. I think there's a way he could have done it that I wouldn't have been so disappointed. If Damian Lillard would have, if he would have been like, "I want out of Portland," and Portland would have said, "All right, so we got this great trade package that the Pistons are going to send Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey to us for Damian Lillard, and then we're going to send Damian to Detroit." And Damian Lillard was like, "Okay, cool, I'll go play in Detroit." Then I don't have a problem with it, TJ. Then I'm like, "All right, Damian, you're still that dude, like you're." If it was just simply like I can't be in Portland anymore because I'm not privy to what's going on behind the scenes there. I don't know what his relationship is with the front office and all this sort of shit, So like I'm not going to pretend like I know this stuff. So if he wants out, that's fine. That happens and works sometimes. I have a time or two in my life, TJ. I have decided to move jobs. Like that's something I can identify with. The problem for me is when you're like I must go. I'm not only am I going to get a trade, I am going to tell you where you're going to trade me. And once you start saying that shit, that undermines your entire. I don't run from the grind, and I'm not a guy who's trying to build super teams and all that sort of stuff. That whole persona that you we're building, it undermines the whole thing, and that's the bummer with Damian Lillard. But I will say this though, people forget Kobe Bryant wanted to get traded to the Bulls once upon a time, and talking about guys who spent one or their whole career at one team and became legends for it. That is Kobe with the Lakers, and nobody remembers that, and it just kind of like, because the trade didn't actually go through and nothing, it just kind of got lost to history. So I don't know, maybe there's a world where like Portland's like, fuck you, you're playing for us. Dame sticks around. The moment comes and goes in terms of like his ring chasing or whatever you want to call it mindset of like, I want to get out of here so I can go to this next phase of my career. He plays out the rest of his contract in Portland. Then he's like, I might as well just stay. I got like 3 years left anyway. I might as well just stay here in Portland. And then he retires in Portland. And then like everybody completely forgets about this moment we're in right now where Damian Lillard basically turned his back on everybody who was like, you're my guy because you're not like all those other guys. And then he's like, watch this. I am like all those other guys.
I don't know how I forgot about Kobe. That's my L.
Damn, dude. Damn. No, Kobe. Kobe was drafted by the Hornets though. So
right.
Does he count as one team?
For my own reputation, absolutely, he counts as a Charlotte Hornet.
How do we feel about in general the guys? I always think that's weird that when we should have talked about this after the draft, but when guys get drafted and immediately traded, and they still make them put on the original draft hat.
Yeah.
I don't. That's one of the weirder traditions that happens, and it just like I guess it makes for, but it feels like torture to Hornets fans are tortured by the picture of Kobe wearing the Hornets hat. Well,
it's like, I'm sure I mentioned him before, but Eli Manning when he was a Charger for 5 seconds, I'm sure Chargers like they got Phillip Rivers who statistically speaking they're probably like equal quarterbacks, but they didn't win 2 Super Bowls, so I'm sure they wish they got the other side of that coin.
Eli Manning pulled off one of the great player empowerment bullshit things, where he was completely vindicated. It had all worked out in the end. But if anyone else tries that, that's a weird one, because I'm trying to put myself, like I'm trying to think of a scenario where like someone else does that, but like somehow because it's Eli and it's he's got the Manning name and. I remember when he did that, like I was like, man, the Manning just know everything about the NFL, and they just must know some shit no one else does, and they did. In the end, they did. They knew that the Chargers are a joke of a franchise, but that's pretty funny that he was just drafted number 1. He's like, no, not.
He was like, yeah,
try again.
I'm all right.
I want to see someone at Barstool try that. I'm sure there are plenty of people that do try this every day and at Barstool, but just we need to usher in the player empowerment era at Barstool Sports.
No,
the content. Just like the content. All the content is just like people not making content. Quick break to talk about our friends at Cars.com. Wherever life takes you next and whoever you're looking to be, there's a car for that on Cars.com. Whether you're moving from the suburbs to the city, so you want a smaller, sportier car, or you're expanding your family and want a safer option, or you've taken up snowboarding and need more cargo space for the gear, their advanced search filters help you narrow down the car you're looking for. They have deal badges that identify the best deals, and they even have quick and easy ways to sell or trade in your car. Over 2 million cars for 2 million possibilities to meet your changing needs. Up to 50,000 cars are added daily to Cars.com, so you'll find a car you'll love. I am going to do this when I get to Chicago. I got to get on Cars.com because I sold my car in Los Angeles. I had a Camry hybrid that made a lot of sense in LA. Probably would make sense in Chicago too, but I feel like I need to get like more Midwestern car. And I think my move, I have never owned a truck ever, which I feel like is a rite of passage for a Midwest man. The fact that I was born and raised in the Midwest, spent 30 years of my life in the Midwest, and now I'm moving back to the Midwest, and at no point in time have I ever owned a truck. That does not sit right with me, and I feel like we got to get that fixed, and Cars.com is going to fix that for me. I'm going to go to Cars.com. I'm going to do this when I get to Chicago. I got to figure out what truck I'm going to get. I know nothing about trucks, as it turns out. So I don't want to go too big and become the guy that's like overcompensating for stuff, but I also want a good truck. So I gotta figure this out. Cars.com is going to help me do that. I'm going to find my next possibility on Cars.com. Where to next? Go use Cars.com to find your next car. All right, Summer League thoughts, which is to say, Wenbanyama. No, I want to give a couple shout outs before I get to Vic because I will forget otherwise. Max Christie is playing out of his mind for the Lakers, and I want to shout this guy out because when he was drafted, I vividly remember on a previous iteration of a show I've done, Sam Vecini came on before the draft. He had Max Christie high on his board. Max Christie played at Michigan State, for those who don't know. I remember saying going into that draft that Michigan State could have been like national title good if Max Christie was as good as he was supposed to be at Michigan State, but he wasn't. And I didn't hate the kid, but I was just like, I don't really get it. He shot like 29% from three or something as a freshman at Michigan State too. And I'm like reading all these like draft reports about how he's a great shooter and all this shit, and I'm like, what? Someone explain. And I just remember, I don't know why that stuck with me, but I just remember having Sam on the show and just like, Sam, please, for the love of God, explain to me Max Christie, because I watched this man play Big Ten basketball all year. He's got the athleticism, I guess, but like, there's no way he's gonna actually be a first round pick. He's like, yeah, he will. He'll be a first round pick. He'll be a good NBA player. As it turns out, maybe Sam knows more than me, TJ, because Max Christie has been balling out in Summer League. Now, it is just Summer League. We will say that. How much does that matter? But yeah, he's been playing really well, and I just wanted, in the interest of fairness, I want to give him a shout-out because, I don't want to be the guy that rips people, and then when they make me look like an asshole, I bury my head in the sand. I'll say, Max Christie, you're playing well. Congratulations, man. That's exciting stuff. Who else? Nico Mannion was a guy that was balling out in Summer League, caught my attention. I fucking loved him when he went to Arizona. His year, he had a similar sort of deal. Like when he was at Arizona, he wasn't quite as good as what I was hoping he would be, but he was still good. He's still a really good player. But I remember him coming in Arizona. I got caught in the Nico Mannion rabbit hole before he got to college, and I was like, oh my God, this ginger point guard just like dunking on people. I fell in love with him, and I thought he was going to be like National Player of the Year good at Arizona. I was like, dude, I'm buying all the hype. I cannot wait to watch Nico. And then he had a good run there at Arizona. He wasn't a bad basketball player at all, but he certainly wasn't as good as I was hoping he would be. But he's been killing in Summer League. So shout out Nico. I would love to see him back in the NBA. That would be pretty freaking awesome. Scoot's awesome. Scoot, I feel very good about buying all the Scoot stock. I base my Scoot opinion off of just watching him play Victor Wenbanyama in those exhibitions they did. When was that? That was when they played each other? God, when was it? The G League Ignite team played the Mets '92 team a couple times. God damn, I don't even remember when that was, but it was like a year ago. And I just fell in love with Scoot, and now, like everyone else, I mean, I don't mean to say that like I'm the one guy that fell in love with Scoot, but like that was. I watched him play like one basketball game, and I was like, this dude has it. This dude is
October 5th.
It was October,
yeah.
Last October, yeah. And it's but then like as the draft goes on and time passes, I kept telling people I'm in love with Scoot Henderson, and then I would like sit down and think about why I'm in love with Scoot Henderson, because I'm like I've barely watched Scoot Henderson ever play. I've just like watched one game. But it was all it took. So then to watch him in Summer League, it was nice. It was validating because it was like, yes, that's what it like. That's my instincts were correct. I think Scoot Henderson is going to be fucking awesome. I'm very excited to see what he can do at the next level. But let's talk about Wenbanyama, because that is the story of Summer League, and that will be the story of this rookie class. Shout out to Jabari Smith, by the way, for the last second shot for the Rockets. That was cool too. Wenbanyama. Like I said at the top, this was a perfect 2-game stretch for Vic in Summer League, because Game one, he was bad. There's no, I mean, ESPN was doing all they could to pretend like he wasn't, and I don't know how many times I had to be told that like his shot looks good, even though it's not going in.
Dude, there was one graphic that had all the top prospects, their stats, and then Wenbanyama stats, but they left his field goal percentage off the graphic. It was just like points, rebounds, assists. There was no like 2 for 15 or whatever he was.
Dude, he was bad. Like he wasn't not as good as we were hoping he would be. He wasn't like mediocre. He was very, very bad. He was bad. He wasn't moving well. He was not shooting well. He was getting ripped when he tried to dribble. And this is not against the alarming part is that this is not against NBA competition. Most of the guys that are at Summer League will not play in the NBA this year. A vast majority of them. And so that is kind of concerning when you're talking about a guy who's supposed to be GOAT level prospect, and he's playing against a bunch of dudes that will not play in the NBA, and he's getting completely fucking worked. It's concerning. So obviously everybody goes nuts. They start calling the guy a bust. Which welcome.
Yeah.
We've been doing this on this program for
your idea.
Yeah. Welcome. As first reported on the Mark Titus show. But everyone's going, and I, it's one game in Summer League, and it's an overreaction, sure. But at the same time, like I do think it is fair to say it's an overreaction. It is. It's one game. This is not going to define his entire career. But at the same time, I think if you were watching that game and you were trying to pull silver linings out of Victor Wembanyama's first Summer League game, you're also kind of deluding yourself to pretend like this was not a horrendous performance by a basketball player. It was. It's fine. It happens. You just you got to call it what it is and say he did not play well. Game two, he did. He played well. Game two, he played really well. And what I found hilarious, TJ, was the people that are pro Vic, we'll say, because the line in the sand has already been drawn. At this point, you kind of know where you stand. Like we're 2 games into Summer League, and if you didn't know how you felt about Victor Wembanyama, just watch those 2 games, and you're going to come away from both of those games either saying this guy fucking sucks or this guy is an alien that is going to revolutionize basketball forever. And I really don't think you're falling anywhere in between. It really doesn't feel like anybody's falling anywhere in between. So if you're a pro Vic guy, you come away from game 2, and this is what cracked me up, TJ, was that everybody said after game 2, they said, see, he's going to be fine. Shame on all of you for overreacting to one game of Summer League. Nobody seems to catch the irony in this, which is that you're doing the exact same fucking thing. You're overreacting to one good game. I was overreacting to one bad game. You're now overreacting to one good game. Do we have any idea that this guy's... I don't know. And this was the point I was trying to make the whole time leading up to the draft, was that the idea that this is the most surefire, can't miss, going to just drag his nuts all over the NBA prospect we have ever seen in the history of basketball is absurd. It's laughable. It's not going to happen. It's already like it. I'm not overreacting to one game. I'm just calling it what it is. Like he's not by having the shitty game, he has already undermined that position that he is the greatest prospect. Like you can't do that. You can't lay that big of a stinker in Summer League and then expect all of us going into your first game with the Spurs to like just completely forget that happened and just keep buying into the hype that is Victor Wembanyama. We all kind of know what we're getting here. Now a little more rational viewpoint beyond like the whiplash of like, is he a bust, does he suck, all that sort of thing. I do think his body is he definitely has work to do. I mean, like, that's not breaking news obviously, but like everyone was saying that when you just look at the guy, but like watching him playing in Summer League and like his such a high center of gravity, and the way he's that first game was what was more alarming to me than anything else. Like his rebounding position is horrendous. That was alarming. Like it's like he grabs rebounds because he's tall, not because he's got great instincts or that part was crazy. Him getting ripped on drives was crazy. I don't know, like watching him and watching Chet Holmgren, like to me, Chet Holmgren, I don't know, I'm scared to say this because people think I'm just like overreacting and crazy, but like Chet Holmgren moves so much better. Never mind like the actual production of the basketball, but like when you're talking about 2 super skinny dudes that seem like they're going to be injury prone, and Chet already has had an injury that made him miss his whole first year. And can their bodies hold up and how can they move and bang on an NBA court with physical players and all that sort of stuff. Watching Chet move up and down a basketball court instills more confidence in me than watching Wenbanyama at this point. And I genuinely mean that. So like I am everyone's going to hear this and laugh because of how many times I've said I've gone all in on saying Victor Wenbanyama will not be the greatest player ever. But I am rooting for the kid. Like I do think it would be fun for him to be good. I think that would be really, really fun. So I do not want him to be a bad basketball player. I certainly do not want him to get injured at all. But yeah, that's what I think the concerns are fair. I think I think the people that just point to a box score and say this is why he sucks, I was right. Yeah, those people are unless you're adding context, then that's irrational and stupid. But the context, it's not just the box score. That was the thing. That was what was alarming in watching the first game. It wasn't just that he was missing shots. It was like how he was moving up and down the floor. He looked absolutely gassed, which could be explained by a long season in France. Like maybe that won't be as much of an issue moving forward. But yeah, like Kai Jones dunking on him, like just kind of the way he moved was not as it wasn't as fluid as I think people were being told he would be, because like that was the sell of Victor Wembanyama. He's like 7'5", but he moves like he's 6'1", and he can dribble and shoot like he's a guard, and he's 7'5", and you're like, all right, well, if that is actually the player I'm seeing, then that's gonna be a pretty fucking good player. And then but then you actually watch him, and he is a little more stiff and gangly than like Chet to me is. Chet has better control over his body at this point by far than Vic does, and so the Chet Holmgren Rookie of the Year campaign has started in earnest. I still think Chet though is going to have to contend with having such talented team. Like the Thunder have so many good young players that like that's going to be harder for Chet. I think Scoot's the guy. I think Scoot's the Rookie of the Year pick because Wenbanyama is going to be load managed. Wenbanyama is going to be PR managed more than anything else, TJ. Like what happens when Wenbanyama has like 3 stinker NBA games in a row? He's definitely sitting out the next one, and then we're getting told that he's got like soreness in his right foot, and that's why he played poorly in those last 3 games and shit like that. Scoot's not doing that. Scoot's a dog. Scoot's just gonna go out there and get buckets. I fucking love Scoot, but yeah, the Wenbanyama summer league experience was absolutely perfect. Play one atrocious game, play one pretty good game, shut it down, and then let everyone argue.
And get attacked by Britney Spears.
And get attacked by Britney Spears. I completely forgot about that part. That was cracking me up. All the Britney people that after his first game, and like the Britney Spears fans that were just the memes of like this was Britney at 19 and this is Victor Wembanyama.
Truly one of the more shocking headlines to ever like hit the ESPN pop-up app. I thought I was getting pranked or they were getting hacked or something. Britney Spears attacked by Victor Wembanyama. My biggest question in that whole situation is she a Spurs fan? Like what would compel her to run after Victor Wembanyama? I would say
my gut instinct is that she didn't know who it was. She just saw he was 7'5", a 7'5" man walking through a casino, and she was just like, I gotta go talk.
I gotta see this guy.
I gotta see this.
Show me this freak. Yeah. Turn around, weirdo.
I don't know, but Britney's in rough shape, isn't she?
I think there's something going on there that we don't know about yet. That there'll be a documentary on 20 years from now.
There's something going on, but then also you see her, and it looks like there's not in that face and in that head. There's nothing going on. There's literally nothing. God, that's a sad deal. But yeah, the people that were like the free Britney movement, and then Britney gets freed, and then now it's like, all right. So about that.
What I will say about Wemby though, before we move on, is that we talk about NBA rigged a lot on this show, or NBA scripted. Really, really, really good script if he does go on to become the best player of all time, that you get to open it with drama and criticism over him playing poorly in his first game. A lot like Yao Ming, like sucked really early on in his first season. Like, you could just roll back the tape and be like, remember when he shot 20% or 10% in his first game, and Mark Titus kept saying he was a bust over and over again on a like you might be in like the opening montage of like media criticizing him after his first game.
Dude, there's so many sports media people that I swear to God they want to get in the we gotta start calling this out. Yes. Like dudes that are trying to get in documentaries with their takes.
Every person that every year opened the season by saying Tom Brady, it was like washed and finished for 10 consecutive seasons. They like opened the year with like Tom Brady, not even a top 20 quarterback in my book.
We got to do that for this college basketball season. Like heading into the season, we got to identify. Like I'll pick Kansas or something and just say, Kansas will probably be the number one team. So I'll just I gotta start writing down some clips, some lines that we can like clip out. Yeah. So I can get in their documentary. So their championship DVD opens with me saying like, I don't care what everyone else is saying. These Kansas Jayhawks do not have what it takes. And then they clip it up and.
But just do that for every one of the top 20 teams.
Every team.
Yeah. Man, that could be a new segment. It's just,
That's a great brand
billboard material segment. Where you just lie.
Oh man. I think that's pretty much all I was gonna just say Cooper Flagg's good. I mean, Cooper Flagg is I can't believe how good that kid is. He's so fucking good. He's so good. He's so fun to watch. He's so good at everything. I don't like that. It seems like he's going to either Duke or G League Ignite. That's very frustrating. That we're like I would love to. I don't know who's running the PR for Cooper Flagg, but like you gotta at this point in his recruitment and in his hype cycle, we got to get like more. We gotta have more options out there, TJ. He's got to be flirting with like 7 schools at this point still.
Go to Maine. Stay home.
Just to get the whole country like when it's known that you're kind of going to Duke or G League, it just kind of like takes the wind out of the sails a little bit for everybody. But like I throw Maine on the list. I'm gonna do Cooper Flagg's top 7 for him right now. Top 7. You go Duke, put Duke on the list, sure. I don't think you do Carolina. A lot of 5-star guys will do both. They'll put Duke and Carolina. I always see that as a little cowardly and like a little like you're sort of to me that undermines the rivalry because I feel like every basketball player you figured out by age like 14 whether you're a Duke or a Carolina guy. Like you have to know which side you fall on. So if you're putting both of these schools in your top 7s, that tells me you're going through an identity crisis and you don't know who you are. So I'm not putting Carolina. We're going Duke, no Carolina. I think he does UCLA. I think he throws UCLA in there because I think you throw a West Coast school in there. I think Oregon and like Bronny with the Oregon and USC thing, when he had Oregon and USC in the mix, I feel like that was a good play for Bronny and that made a lot of sense. But I think I think you can't now. Cooper Flagg can't now have like you need one West Coast school. It can't be Oregon. It can't be USC because Bronny just did that. Arizona and Gonzaga. Do you do San Diego State? UCLA just feels like the play. I think UCLA, you got to do the blue blood on the West Coast. I think you're right. Maine has to be in the mix. Throw Maine in there. Do the hometown deal. Get the people really excited. Do we know where his parents are from? Where his like look that up because that I need to know like did his mom or dad play somewhere? We need that. I think what other blue blood?
His mom played at Maine, and she was a captain as a senior.
Yeah, you got to do Maine. Put Maine in the top 7. I think you go a Big East school too. I think you throw in a Big East school. I think you do like
St. John's.
Whoa, St. John's with Pitino. I think you take a bag from Kim English and do Providence.
Yeah.
I think like Kim English needs like a big I think Providence needs like a big fuck you to Ed Cooley. Like we're gonna be fine without you. So I think Providence pays Cooper Flagg just to be in their top 7, just to show up in the top 7. I think Providence was like, listen, we know you're not gonna come here, but just throw us on the graphic. Here's $50,000 just to put us on the graphic to make us feel like, we got something cooking. Post Ed Cooley, UConn feels a little too on the nose. Like UConn and Duke is like a little too. That's Maine. So we got Maine. I think I like St. John's though. St. John's is good.
They're on every list right now.
I think St. John's. Let's do Maine, St. John's, UCLA, Duke. We still need 3 more. An SEC school.
Yeah, Auburn
SEC
maybe.
School. Yeah, Auburn.
I'm just trying to think of every time I see a 5-star recruit put out a top 12, what schools are on it, and I feel like Auburn somehow ends up on way more than they should.
Maybe like Florida.
Yeah.
Florida feels like a.
It's gonna be devastating
Texas.
when he just goes to overtime.
I think Texas. I think he's got Texas on the list too. He's gonna go G League Ignite or go. He's gonna go to Duke, which I don't mind, to be honest. Like I was thinking about this the other day. Like I think. I don't know if I'm gonna hate Duke, dude, because I like Kyle Filipowski. Like that's where we're right. It's like I like Shire. I like Kyle Filipowski, who's going to be fucking awesome this year for Duke, by the way. Like Kyle Filipowski might be, as we're entering a college basketball season where you're like, who could possibly knock Zach Edey off of National Player of the Year perch, which is probably nobody. He's probably going to win it again. But my pick would be Filipowski. Filipowski's going to be so freaking good. I like Filipowski a lot. I like Cooper Flagg a lot. He's probably going to Duke. So if I'm waking up with the realization that I don't hate the head coach, and these 5-star white dudes that are going to Duke, I actually kind of like. Not even kind of. I fucking love Cooper Flagg, and
you don't have a reason to hate them yet. They have to give you a reason to hate them.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I'm not gonna pretend to hate Duke just because once upon a time I did. Like at this point, that makes me that would make me a fraud, That kind of that means that they were right the whole time, and I was the asshole. If I just blindly hate Duke, that's not I hated Duke. I had my reason. Yeah, exactly. I had my reasons to hate Duke. Now the reasons are gone. I'm not going to hate him, and that's where we're at. So, but I love Cooper Flagg, and the part of his story that is more fun to root for, because I want to get out ahead of this as a white man saying I love a white basketball player over and over and over again. You got to be careful sometimes, TJ. The Celtics writers of the 80s and 90s have shown us that we gotta learn from their mistakes and be a little more cautious with how much we're gassing up Danny Ainge and Kevin McHale.
They just hustle first
Larry
guy
Bird,
in the gym, last guy out. Play the game the right way.
I think the Cooper Flagg demographic that is far more enticing to me than the color of his skin is that he's from Maine. That is a way cooler story than Carlos Boozer being from and Trajan Langdon being from Alaska. I remember and Mario Chalmers being from when I heard that those guys were from Alaska, I thought that was the coolest shit ever. I vividly remember watching Trajan Langdon at Duke and just being like, this dude's from fucking Alaska? Basketball players come from Alaska? That's crazy. So the fact that we might have the number 1 pick in the NBA draft from Maine, that is, I just want to go on record as saying that. That's what I'm cheering for more so than when I want Cooper Flagg to go number 1 in the draft. I want him to go number 1 representing the state of Maine, not representing white people. Okay, I just want to get out ahead of that. Okay, this has nothing to do with that. So
if he goes number 1, I think he instantly, I'm looking at a list right now, pops into at least the top 15 most famous people from Maine ever.
He probably already is.
Duncan Robinson's from Maine?
Yeah, Duncan's from Maine, right? I think I talked about this before because Duncan was he's technically from Maine, I think.
Anna Kendrick, Stephen King, Patrick Dempsey, Aaron Andrews, Nelson Rockefeller.
Aaron Andrews is from Maine?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then I think Cooper Flagg slots in 11th on this list, if I had to guess where he would be. if he goes number one.
Yeah. All right. Well, we should do main celebrity power rankings.
Yeah.
And just like update the people based on how Cooper Flagg played at Peach Jam. How many points did he have? He had 28. All right, that bumps him up to number 9 then.
Yes.
Congratulations, Cooper Flagg. Want to talk about our friends at BodyArmor. The Mark Titus Show hydrates with BodyArmor and rides with Team BodyArmor. BodyArmor is the official hydration partner of the Mark Titus Show. I'm holding in my hand the strawberry banana, which I've talked about. TJ, what do you got there? Strawberry banana? Hell yeah. Are we strawberry banana guys? Are you more strawberry or banana? What is it about the strawberry banana that
I don't know,
power rank them for me? Strawberry banana. Which one's one? Which one's two?
1A strawberry, 1B banana.
I think I'm with you. But you know what's crazy, TJ? This is the crazy part, and this is what makes BodyArmor awesome. Is that there are some days, if you ask me that question, I'm going 1A banana, 1B strawberry. But I do know this: strawberry banana is my flavor of choice with BodyArmor, and BodyArmor is the official hydration partner of this show. We've been drinking BodyArmor from the beginning because they have the best products, best flavors, best ingredients, best athlete partners, no artificial stuff, no fake ingredients, real hydration with electrolytes, potassium, vitamins, etc. There's BodyArmor sports drinks and sports water all over the Barstool offices. We stock the fridge with it. It's empty in an hour. We fly through the stuff. It is so good. You need to get on the BodyArmor wave. Some of the top athletes in the world drink this all over the competition. I'm talking Trae Young, Christian McCaffrey, Alex Morgan, Donovan Mitchell, Ronald Acuna, Sabrina Ionescu. You know, you've heard of all these people. All fantastic athletes. My favorite flavor, as I said, strawberry banana. Go find yours. Go try all the different flavors. Figure out what your favorite flavor is. Buy BodyArmor now on Amazon. Go do it now. Go try all the flavors. Report back to us. Send us your power rankings. Strawberry banana. Which one's your favorite? Let us know. BodyArmor. All right, I think that's pretty much all with the basketball. I was programming note. This is I'm going to be in Chicago. Yeah, I'm moving across the country right now. I'm halfway there. My hope is that this is the last show. It won't be. It just won't be. That's how this business works. But this is the hope, just to be completely transparent with everybody. My hope is that this is the last show I do solo, which I'm not really doing solo. TJ's fun to bounce stuff off of, and I don't mean to undersell TJ's contributions to the show, but my hope is once we get to Chicago, we kind of get something set up. The new office will not be set up until, what do they say now, March, April?
The last update I got was actually that the main block of production area, which includes Part of My Take, Yak, the control room, a regular podcast studio, and the Brandon Walker / Mark Titus studio, is on track for September 5th, which is the day after Labor Day weekend.
Well, there you go. But I'm gonna go work out of the Chicago deal that we currently have there right now, where the Barstool Chicago guys are working out of. But yeah, my plan moving forward is to like start developing the show to be like what I want it to actually be, which is, I appreciate everybody that's been following along and listening up to this point. Like kind of like I said not too long ago, like this was a little bit flying by the seat of our pants, you know, like I signed on to Barstool. I thought I would have a co-host when I came here. I did not. And like, we just kind of like pieced it together, and I wanted to fire off my bomb ass takes, you know. I think like that was definitely a priority. It was like, I got the freshest fucking takes in the game, and the people need to hear them. But how are we going to go about it? And we put this show together, and it's been a ton of fun. And I don't mean to like say I haven't enjoyed doing the shows we've done. I just like moving forward, I hope to settle in a little bit more and not have so much chaos of like, you know, trying to figure out all this stuff. So anyway, that'll hopefully start happening next week once I get to Chicago and we start to get a little more permanent feel of this marriage between myself and Barstool. Quickly before we get out of here, I'm going to tell a moving story, because I think people learning from my mistakes is very, very important, and I do want my listeners to learn from my mistakes. This move, and I'm not done yet. Like this is why I'm scared to like laugh about it too much, because I'm in the thick of it. I'm looking out my window right now, my fat ass U-Haul that I still have 1,000+ miles to drive to get to Chicago. So mistake, the way I would describe how the last 48 hours have gone for me is that mistakes were made, TJ. I want to preface by saying this. everybody, the Captain Hindsight shit that goes on, I already regret talking about this because the Captain Hindsight shit that goes on when you talk about moving will drive me insane. It is, everybody has the perfect thing that you should do right after you've already made your decision and you'd say like what you did do. And then they're like, why didn't you just simply do this? Which is bullshit because every single person that moved hates it. There's not a single, I've never heard anybody ever move. I was like, actually my move was awesome. Every single person's move is a pain in the ass. But then when you're telling someone about like your move and why it was a pain in the ass, they're like, why would you do that? You should have done it this way. So I'm driving across the country. All right. So like, I think first of all, I should in a perfect world I would have paid people to just like pack my shit and I'll fly to Chicago and meet you guys there and do all and we'll handle it that way. I have a 12-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. He is the greatest fucking dog on earth. I love him to death, and he doesn't fly. I was one of those people that did not lie about my dog being a support animal. I'm an honest person, so I don't take my dog on planes. At this point, even if I wanted to now become a dishonest person, he's too old. Like I'm not taking like a 13-year-old dog on a plane that's never flown before. That would be a nightmare. So I'm not doing that to him. I have to drive my dog across the country anyway. And I thought at that point, if I'm going to be doing the drive anyway, I might as well save a ton of money and drive the U-Haul myself versus paying someone like thousands of dollars just to drive. So here's the plan I came up with, TJ, was I'm going to hire movers. I'm going to get the U-Haul. I'm going to hire movers to pack the U-Haul. I'm going to hire movers in LA to pack the U-Haul. Then I will handle the driving part. I will drive the U-Haul across the country. Then once I get to Chicago, I will hire another set of movers to unload my shit. This made perfect sense in my head. You can hire people to do the whole process for you. I was trying to hire like 2 separate companies to just do half the process. It makes perfect sense to me, right? So first thing I do is I have to get a U-Haul. I go look at the site. I call the place like a few different times. I'm looking at like this 15-footer. I'm looking at my apartment. I'm looking at the shit in my apartment. I'm looking at the 15-footer. I'm like, I don't know if this is right. On the website, it says 15-footer is for if you have a 2-bedroom place, it's going to be enough space. I'm like, I don't know if this is. I call the place. They're like, how big's your place? And I was like, it's not very big. It's a tiny ass place in LA, and like my apartment was like 1,000 square feet. It's like not that big. And he goes, yeah, that's plenty. I mean, you'll have plenty of space. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, you'll have plenty of space. They send me a video where you could see people, like the video is like U-Haul, on U-Haul's YouTube, what fits in a 15-foot truck. And I swear to God, they're using miniatures of all this stuff because they're loading like washers, they're loading dryers. I saw a hippopotamus get loaded into the fucking U-Haul at one point. And I'm like, all right, I'm watching this video and I'm like, perfect. That's plenty of room. That's plenty. If you could fit 2 cars into a U-Haul, into that size U-Haul, we'll be fine. So I get the 15-foot U-Haul. The movers are supposed to show. So the plan was Monday. I hired these movers to show up, or on Tuesday the movers were supposed to show up on at 8 a.m. I hired them for 2 hours. At 10 o'clock, everything's supposed to be out of my place. I was going to then clean the place real quick, toss the keys, and hit the road. I was hoping by noon. And that was even factoring in some unforeseen bullshit that would happen. And I was going to hit the road by noon, and away we were going to go. Movers at 8:45, I have not heard from them. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. I call them. They say we're on our way. We just got caught up in traffic. They're like, LA traffic, and I'm like, yeah, LA traffic, man. Like, who could have seen this coming? Who could have? If only there was a way we could have planned for this. This is crazy. There's never traffic in LA today of all days. They end up showing up like an hour late. They get there, they assess the place. I should say this. They show up, they call me, they're like, we're outside. I come downstairs, and again, I'm expecting, like, I'm not expecting like the biggest production ever, but like I hired a moving company. I was like, I hired a moving company, you're gonna load the truck for me. I'm not touching shit. Like, I woke up that day thinking, I went and got breakfast, got a coffee. I was just sitting there on my little bar stool at my kitchen island, like, just like, I'm just gonna chill here and watch these guys move. I'm not lifting a finger. I'm too old for this shit, and this is why I'm paying you guys. So I go down and to meet them once they get there, and it's two dudes, and I shit you not, they're just doing jumping jacks and toe touches.
Wow.
And it's just two dudes. It's just like it's two dudes. It's just two dudes. I don't know how else
they
to
were just
explain
getting
it.
the blood pumping outside, or
They're two, and the reason they're doing jumping jacks and all this shit is because they have one dolly and they have one little like thing, like furniture mover thing that has like 4 wheels on it, like one little, and that's all they have. That's the only equipment they have to move all my shit. And I'm looking at them like, are you guys in the mood? Like, where's the rest of your team? And it's just like two dudes in college that like just wanted a side job or something. I'm like, what the hell? This company I hired, I thought like they got good reviews. I was bamboozled. So they start the moving process. They get up there, they assess, they look at the truck, they're looking at the place. I ask them 100 times because I have my doubts. Like I was looking at the truck and looking at all the stuff, and I have my doubts. I'm like, do you think all this stuff can fit? Because like we have a lot of shit, man. Like we have way too much shit in this apartment. Do you think it can fit? And they're like, oh yeah, we're experienced in moving. And this, how big's your apartment? And I was like, what's this mean? Oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. Throughout the whole process, so they start moving. It's taking forever. Like these guys take a piece down. They sit there with their hands on their hips. They're staring at it. They're and then they put it in. I'm looking at the clock. And it's like I'm hoping to leave by noon. 2 hours in, which I thought the job would be done in 2 hours. They're not even halfway done, and I'm like, what the what's going on here? And I'm asking them the whole time, like, is there enough room? Is there enough room? Fast forward to the obvious conclusion. There's not enough room, TJ. So they're loading up this U-Haul. It takes them. It is now almost 2:00. And I have to put like every hour. By the way, this was like driving me fucking crazy because like every hour, that every time you dip into a new hour, these guys would stop working. They would come up to me and they would just be like, so you're now dipping into another hour. Would you like to purchase another hour of moving? I'm like, bitch, no. Do the job. Just do the job.
They charge you hourly even after.
Yes.
That seems crazy to me.
Well, it seemed crazy to me too, TJ, because I was like, no wonder you're sitting there staring at the fucking U-Haul.
Why wouldn't they just take all day on Yeah, what? That seems like...
That's what they did. Yeah, that's what I think they did. That's what I'm accusing them of. I'm formally accusing them of doing that. So it's like 1:30, 2:00, something like that, and I'm like getting antsy because I know I have a massive drive in front of me. Plus, we start fucking around too much, we're gonna hit rush hour in LA, and I live on the western part of Los Angeles, so I have to drive through the entire city. This is like, I was like, the whole point of the whole point of the itinerary I'd set forth was that I could leave at like noon in the middle of the day, not have to deal with traffic quite as much. So we're getting into the zone of like, all right, what's going on? So I go down and I look at the U-Haul and I just see like the thing is like packed to the brim and there's all my shit just like hanging around the side. And I was like, it's not gonna fit, huh? And they're like, yeah, we I don't know if it's gonna all fit. I don't think it's all gonna fit. And I'm sitting there, just like at this point, I don't know what to think, TJ. I'm looking at all this shit that we have because this is the other thing is like, I don't at this point I don't even want any of this shit. Like I'm sort of hoping that like all of us just go upstairs and then we come back down and like someone stole the U-Haul. That would be like best case scenario, and then I can just like fucking book a one-way plane ticket to Chicago and like I don't know what I would just like pay someone to ship the dog at that point. I don't know. I was like, I'm so over it. I'm like, I just want to. I was completely losing my mind because it had gone on for so long. And the shit because the shit I have is just like, you're looking at it and you're like, why do I have all these books? Like, what do I need I haven't read half of these books. I don't want to read half these books. I got autobiographies of like celebrities that I don't even like, and I just like bought in like 2009 and that I kept. Like, what am I doing? Why did I box those up? That's taking up so much fucking room in the U-Haul. I could have thrown all of those away. I'm getting so upset. I would have done all of this, but I was told I had enough room in the U-Haul, so I was like, just throw it all in. Who cares? Now it's all in, and now like some of the stuff that they have like they're not putting in actually does matter to me, and I'm like, well, damn, I kind of want that. And I'm looking, The optimistic person might have looked at all this stuff and thought to themselves, what a blessed life I've lived, that like I am blessed enough to have purchased all these things. You know, I'm living a life without want, and I have all of these great things. I'm doing the opposite, and I'm just like disgusted with myself. I'm like, you fucking glutton. You consumerist glutton, that you've bought all of this stuff. Throw it all away. What are you doing? And it's dawning on me as I'm looking at all the stuff I have, TJ. I own like 3 of everything in the world. But the one thing I didn't have in that moment was a gun to shoot myself in the face and put myself out of this misery. And that's the only thing I wanted, you know, because I don't know what to do. So we call like a U-Haul place and get a trailer like last minute. They're gonna now attach a trailer on, but these moving guys are like, you're already dipping into hour 5. They're like, we can stick around if you want, but the time it takes you're on the clock for like the time. You have to now go pick up the trailer, bring it back. We're still on the clock. You're going to have to pay us to move while you're going to do that, you know? So I was like, you guys can just go. Like, I'm not paying you guys. I've already paid you guys so much fucking money to drag this out and completely ruin this whole thing. So I go get the trailer. I come back, and now I have to move, like, I had to move a desk. I had to move, like, two of my own, like, patio furniture chairs. I had to move, like, 2 bookshelves. I have so much shit. And I'm carrying this on my own, losing my mind. Like, I'm staring at the clock because the clock just keeps going on and on. I put all the stuff in the U-Haul, and then it dawns on me that I had bought these guys tie-down ropes to tie all the stuff down, and I didn't see them using any of it. So I had thought that the tie-down ropes were still in the apartment. So I was putting all this stuff in the trailer, and then I was ready to like tie the stuff down because I don't want it to fly all over the place as I'm driving. And I go to get the ropes, and they're not there. And then I realized that these dudes took like the pack. Like, I bought all these ropes because, by the way, these guys came with no materials. I thought they were going to come and wrap all this shit up. They did not. So I had to go like run and get all this like material for them to like do their job. I go to get the tie down ropes to tie down stuff in the trailer, and it's gone. And I realized that they had basically just taken the packaging of the rope. They did not unpackage it at all. They just like stuffed it in the U-Haul and then shut the U-Haul and locked it up. So now I don't have the rope, but like all of my furniture is now in the back of the U-Haul. I don't have a car, by the way. I sold my car, so I'm gonna go to Chicago and like get a new car there. I didn't want to drive. It's a whole fucking mess, dude. So I have to get an Uber to a local boat supply shop to go buy dock lines to tie up all my shit in the trailer. This is just like, and then I'm just like staring at the clock as I'm sitting in an Uber. The clock is just like ticking and ticking and ticking, and I'm going crazy, dude. Because one thing you should know about me is like the slightest bit of adversity sets me off. Like I am very mentally weak, you know. Like I come up against a little bit of adversity and I just completely crumble. So I'm just going crazy, and I eventually tie all the shit. I don't know. I'm dragging the story out too long, but I eventually get all the shit tied up, and we hit the road at I think it was like 6:00, 6:30.
Christ.
And I was planning on noon at the absolute late. Like in a perfect world, I was like, we might get out of here at 10:30. They might get done early. They might get done moving my shit early, and I might hit the road by 10:30, and we might get to Colorado today.
Yeah.
I ended up getting to Vegas, like, you know, we drove right through the asshole of LA and like dealt with all the rush hour and all that kind of stuff. But dude, it was hell. And I don't know, I'm probably leaving out some other stuff. I tried to block this stuff out, but like my advice to everybody is, if you're booking movers, like make sure you know what you're getting, because I honest to God thought I was not gonna have to lift a finger. I honest to God thought that like I don't know. I have to learn from my mistakes, but I've never moved with money before. Like I'm not a rich man, but I am a man that like I've reached a point in my life where like I kind of, you know, I should pay for shit now instead of like I'm not in college anymore. So this was like the first time I was like going through the process of like, yeah, let me really try to get the right service. Let me try to, you know, like actually hire the right people to do this instead of asking my buddy Jake to carry my dresser for me, you know. Because when I moved out to LA the first time, I was living in a house in Ohio and I sold all my shit. And then I also worked at the Ringer, which like I had, you know, speaks for itself. I had $0. So the shit I did have, I just threw in a U-Haul, and then I just kind of, did the best I could. So this was the first time I was like, I'm gonna outsmart everybody. I'm just gonna pay for dudes to do it. I paid for the wrong dudes. I completely fucked it up. There are levels to this I didn't understand. I apparently hired just guys to load shit, which I guess I didn't realize. So now I'm like panicking because I think I might have hired the same service in Chicago, and now I have to figure that out. I have to figure out who's gonna, because I'm not doing this in Chicago, TJ.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. So
no, I'm not doing it. I'm in the market for movers right now, so I definitely will take that company name down and make sure to avoid them if they're gonna charge me by the hour and then also sit outside my apartment and make the hours go by faster. That's crazy.
It was crazy.
That can't be what's supposed to happen.
This was the worst moving experience of my life. And again, I'm not even done with it. I'm halfway through it. I stopped. But this is the worst moving experience of my life. And the first apartment I ever moved into in college, when I moved out of the dorms, going into my sophomore year, I'll never forget this at Ohio State. I was moving into this like just disgusting apartment. Right off of Lane, I think it was. Yeah, it was like kind of by the B-dubs there on Lane and High. First apartment I was ever living in on my own in my life. I get the keys to the place. I have the full U-Haul, everything. It was moving day, all that kind of thing, obviously. And I get to the place. I walk up to the apartment. I unlock the door. I open the door. And there are two dudes living in an apartment with furniture everywhere, just sitting on the couch with their feet up. And they're like, one guy's got like, chips in his mouth. And he's just like, what the fuck? Can I help you? And I was like, can I help you? You're in my apartment. And they're like, this is our apartment. And I was like, what the hell? I'll never forget that. And and I was like, all right, well, I guess I can't live here. And then anyway, we had to scramble and figure out where the hell to live. But, I dealt with that once, and this was worse than that. So, anyway, that's where we're at. So I'm slowly losing my mind. The U-Haul. The good news is though, the U-Haul has great cruise control, very comfortable seats, great entertainment options, Sirius XM radio, CarPlay. I'm kidding, obviously. It has none of those things. It's a complete bitch.
It's got the roll-up windows like this.
The roll-up windows. But no, I think ultimately, the problem I fell into, and I'll shut up and we can end the show. But the problem that happens, TJ, is that you are, as a man, you get caught in between of like, there's some things you have to do on your own. Like there's some things that you just say to yourself, like, if this is going to get done and get done right, I have to do it. I have to be the one to do this. Like, I just have to, like, there's no other way around it. Like I have to be the one to, if I want to drive my shit and make sure it gets to my apartment on time and make sure it gets, on the day that I want to move in, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and be the one to fucking do it. You have to do it. But then there's also the part of you that's like, be smart and pay people to do things and pay for services and don't always bite off more than you can chew and don't. And living in that middle ground will drive you nuts. And that's basically what happened to me. It was like trying to thread the needle of I have to, because the movers, even looking into having people just come pack my shit and I'll meet you in Chicago. It was like a 2-week lead time. And I was like, I don't want to wait 2 weeks for my stuff to get there and all that. I'll just take matters in my own hands. I'll drive it myself. There's something about it too that you take on the challenge of I'm going to drive across your state. Sometimes as a man, you just want to slay the dragon, You want to go to the moon. You want to climb Mount Everest. You want to go down and see the Titanic in a submersible. These are challenges you want to conquer. But then when you're in it, you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah. Dragons are really hard to kill.
Dragons are hard. Why did I not pay someone to kill this dragon? Yeah. Oh, anyway, that's it. The only other thing I'd say is, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was in Chicago last week and had a similarly nightmarish time on my way back. I don't know if you heard that story.
No, what happened?
I went to Chicago last Friday to look at apartments, found one, got approved for it last night. Very exciting stuff, but I was getting on the flight home. It was the last flight out of O'Hare. It was like a 10 p.m. flight because I didn't want to stay overnight. And had an hour and a half before, so I went and got food at the airport. And separate issue, but I think I'm lactose intolerant now, and I got mozzarella sticks. And I got on the plane, Felt fine. Sat down on the plane, took a picture. I had like the bulkhead, so I had the extra leg room, like nobody in front of me. Everything was going great. And then it was just like a wave of nausea just washed over me. Like I was this is going to be, I was like sweating. I was like, I could felt that my face went flush. And we were like getting close to time to go. Like the engines were coming on. They were doing the announcements and stuff. They were like all the luggage things were closed. And I was like, to the flight attendant, I was like, which way is the nearest bathroom? And I was in like the 14th row or something, so I was pretty much dead center in this plane. And they were like, once we get in the air, though, you'll be fine to go either way. And I was like, don't know if that's going to be an option here. And she was like, oh, well, just try and wait. And I was like, I'm telling you, that might be a bad idea. So I get up.
Would you rather me be in the toilet
right
as this thing takes off, or would you rather me shit my pants right here?
Well, it wasn't coming that direction is what I'm trying. It wasn't going to come out that direction. So I get up, I go to the bathroom. Nothing happens. I splash some water on my face, like drink a little bit of water. Felt decently better. Still not great, but they like were adamant that they didn't want me getting up and going to the bathroom before the flight took off. So I walk out of the bathroom and like every flight attendant is standing outside the door and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes." Went back to my seat. They walked over. They were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yes." They go back. They're having like a meeting and they come back to my seat and they're like, "The pilot doesn't want a sick person on the plane. We're going to return to the gate and ask you to leave."
What?
Yeah. So I grabbed my bag. I didn't have any like checked luggage, which was, I guess, fine, but the entire plane was just staring at me because we were already taxiing at that point. And we had to go back to the gate.
Oh my!
I get like a phone alert that's like, your flight has been delayed due to an emergency passenger situation, and they took me off the plane. And
you got the.
Yeah, I was an emergency passenger situation.
You're like you just reply, "I know, bitch."
Yeah, because I felt like I was gonna be sick. And I guess the solution would have been wait to take off and then throw up all over everybody. That would have been the better idea there.
But this is what's stupid about these policies. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like now, so next time,
if you're ever on a plane and you feel like you're gonna puke, just puke on the floor, I guess, or puke on the person next to you. Yeah. So yeah, they took me off the flight, and I had to sleep in like a Comfort Inn, like a mile away from the airport, and get on a flight at 7 a.m. the next day.
Oh my god, dude, that's brutal.
It was a nightmare.
I would have just been like, I'm not sick. I just need to throw up everywhere. Yeah. Like, no, I'm not sick. I
swear I'll feel better if I just puke really hard right now. So yeah, that was my.
I thought like puking used to be like what. That used to be. I thought that's what you just did on planes. Like that was like my first impression of planes. Like because they got the barf bags there. Yeah. And the first few times I flew, and I like asked my mom like, "What is it?" She's like, "That's for throwing up." And I was like, "So is that it? Like we're just all gonna take off and just fucking like, it's just part of the process."
Yeah.
They used to like accommodate that. They used to say like if you have to barf, that is part of the. Yeah. That is part of the experience. So go ahead and do what you need to. That's crazy, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
I once had
that was my Friday night
on a plane when I was playing basketball and we flew. I think we were coming back from like Minnesota or something. I had to shit when we were taking off, and that was pretty exhilarating. I had like violent diarrhea on a private plane. I'm like holding the walls.
It's got to be one of the worst places to do that sort of.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. So, all right, that's it. I think that's the show. My only other thing I want to say is I have officially re-downloaded Twitter, TJ. That's a life update.
Let's go. Welcome back.
So I'm officially re-downloaded. I got to figure out my first tweet back though. I don't know. There's too much pressure. That's the problem with taking hiatuses. Is like you can't just, or maybe you can. Maybe that's the way you just come back and you're just. I just like watch some like random summer league game and I say bad shot there. And just hit send tweet. Like that's my first tweet since April. It's just like
you could just shit talk Brandon. That usually plays well for likes.
Just shit talk Brandon. Yeah. That's a
just be like, I had to delete Twitter because Brandon is dumb.
Yeah.
But I'm back.
Hey guys, I'm back on Twitter to say at BFW is a pretty stupid fat dumb bitch. Don't you guys think? It's like 10,000 retweets.
Yeah, number one trend.
All right, we'll be back next week from Chicago. I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm a Chicago resident now. It feels I don't know. I'm getting excited. I'm very very excited about it. It's becoming more real. Who's all there right now? Who's beyond like the obviously OG Chicago guys? But
Megan making money's there. Some behind the scenes people are there. Yeah, the big one at Big Cat moves next week. PFT's there already. Hank's there.
Hank's there.
So right. Part of my take will be there for the month of August.
When does Brandon get to Chicago? Or is he?
I think Brandon lives in like Canada right now. He lives in like the northern. What's the upper part of Michigan called?
The Upper Peninsula. Yeah. That cracked me up. I was when Brandon was explaining. I think that was on the I think Sass was giving him shit for that when Brandon was like. He basically is moving from New York to Chicago, but then he is living like 2 hours away from Chicago. And then he was talking about how he's building out his home office so he can do shows from home. And it's like, why the fuck are you moving it? Why not just? Yeah.
He's going to be in the office 5 days a week at least. So like, what is a home office going to help you with if you're 2 hours away?
What a moron! I might have Brandon on the show next week. We'll do a show live from Chicago. I'll get him to drive into the setup, but. Yeah. I'm excited. All right, I gotta go sleep or get another trailer hitch or do. I don't know. I gotta go finish this move. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week live from Chicago. Peace.